Good afternoon, everyone. We can get started in a minute. The doors are still open. Some folks may be trickling in yet. I want to say welcome. My name is Michael Janz. I'm the City Councillor for Ward Papasteo, which is the area around the university down to Southgate. But of course, we welcome all of you, no matter where you're from, in the community. Are we able? Yeah, we can make space. Make space. Yeah, perfect. Welcome, of course, to Treaty 6 territory, home of the Dakota Sioux, Dene, many other First Nations people whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. And when we think about a land acknowledgement, we think about how this place was such a transportation corridor, and we think about how integral it has been for thousands of years, and how now we move around the city in hopefully a smooth and safe and orderly fashion as well, and thinking about the connection to the land on which we are here and we are meeting. I also wanted to welcome, we have a number of guests from Edmonton Transit who have generously given up a chunk of their Sunday afternoon to be with us. We've got Carrie Hott McDonald, the head of the Edmonton Transit branch, who will be sharing here today, and her sidekick, Sarah Feldman, who is also, sorry, your title? It's on screen here. Do we have it? There we go. And I think, throw your hand up if you're also Edmonton Transit staff. We've got Andrew here, and we got, sorry, the name again? John. Yeah, and a couple other folks. So thank you very much for being generous and sharing your Sunday with the excited transit community of Edmonton. I also wanted to share, we have a few books to loan if you're interested. At the table over there, Emma in the vest. Emma has, we've got a stack of different books. There's a great book called Human Transit by Jordan Walker, which is kind of, I would call it the textbook on how to build a transit system in a community. And it talks about how to allocate your bus hours and all kinds of thinking around scheduling and routes and everything else. So it sounds really technical. It's not. It's quite a quick read. You could probably crush it in a weekend, and it'll help kind of give you a really good baseline on how transit systems operate. We've got a couple of other books there as well about just general housing, urban topics, active and public, and transportation as well too. I also want to share, Edmonton Transit has generously provided a bunch of stickers, and we've got some goodies, and we have these special things. They're called paper transit tickets. One day they will be in the archives in the museum, but you yourself can own one of these these untempered little pieces of paper. It says 2023, but you can still use them up until December 31st. So grab them, share them, give them to a loved one. If you haven't already, go and take the Valley Line. Go for a ride and go explore your city. And I think we have a couple other goodies there too. And I believe we'll have some prizes today too that we'll talk about later on. So I wanted to share, this is every year at the transit branch. The transit branch is in your city budget. There's numerous departments. I think there's 70 different lines of business that the city does. And one of the largest is our transit system, and one of the most important is our transit system. And every year they produce this, what's called the annual service plan, which is usually a plan that is presented to City Council, and usually it's item number 7 on an urban planning committee agenda meeting, and it's usually doesn't get a lot of attention, and it's you can come and watch the meeting, but it's generally during the work day, and depending on even if the councillor's selected or not, it may not even be a discussion item. So what we wanted to do this year was actually have a little more of a public conversation and an opportunity. And so in addition to this presentation today, we're also, Reed from my team, they are recording the presentation, and we're going to then have this available on YouTube for other people to share if they weren't able to come today, that we can help people feel really a sense of ownership of your transit system and understand, you know, this is one of our biggest public assets. Any revenue from this transit system is reinvested back into it. Any challenges are our shared challenges, and we as we grow to a city of 2 million people, we are not going to have a room for 2 million cars. We are not going to have room for 2 million parking stalls. We are not going to have room for 2 million people in a traffic jam. We need transportation choices. And fundamentally, the core of our city plan as we build towards a city of 2 million people, the core of this is housing choices and transportation choices. And those two really go hand in hand. And we know right now the top issue for Canadians is affordability. And what better way to help people have a more affordable life than having a robust transit system that can make their life smoother, can help them live closer to work or leisure, or get them to other opportunities. Really, every big city in the world has a functional, outstanding, robust transit system, and Edmonton needs to be no exception as we continue building towards 2 million people. So this isn't just I often say, somebody said, well, we were talking about the transit priority measures, and they were saying, well, this is good for bus drivers. This is good for bus riders. And I said, no, this is good for drivers, because now you're going to get 10 other cars off the road onto a bus. Now you're going to get more traffic out of your way. We see right now what's happening in New York with congestion pricing. It is benefiting drivers the most because it's clearing out traffic. Your Uber ride is shorter, your taxi ride is shorter, and all of us breathe a little bit better clean air with a little less pollution. So no matter why you came to the transit conversation, whether it's you're a rider yourself, whether you're a driver yourself who loathes all the other cars around you, or whether you're concerned about environmental, social justice, or other reasons, the transit conversation really, truly benefits all of us. Like public health, public transit is fundamental to running a functional city. So what we're going to be hearing today is about that annual service plan. And just as a fun, I woke up this morning and my friend Matthew here actually sent me, Matthew had tracked down the earliest that I believe you could find, the annual service plan from 1978. So if you're interested, we can show you the 1978 annual service plan. It's before LRT. It's in the archives now, I believe. But the point being, this is one in a line of many community conversations that we and our neighbors have been having for close to 50 years. So without further ado, the format for today, we'll have a presentation for ease of recording and everything else. If you have questions, I'll be passing them around, write them in the Q&A, and then we'll be doing a rapid fire round to try and answer as many questions as possible. I'll be posing to them. If we can't get to your question or we don't know the answer, we'll follow up with you after the event. And then from there, we'll be going. If you need to use the washroom at any time or grab a drink or anything, you can go out those doors. The washrooms are on the north wall of City Hall behind the stairs. And yeah, if you are interested afterwards, once we're done the Q&A and presentation and such, we'll probably go towards a social of some sort if people are interested. If not, we will go home and enjoy our Sundays. So without further ado, please give a generous welcome for burning their Sunday with us, Carrie and Sarah.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the invitation to participate. We're really happy to be here, and thanks to my team for being with me. Appreciate them taking time out of their day as well. As much as I keep reminding people I'm better at spelling bees than I am trivia, I do look forward to your questions as well. So as Michael mentioned, I oversee Edmonton Transit Service. I've been in this current role for about 4 years, and I've been with ETS for about 8 years in total. So again, we're excited to be here, talk about the service plan for this year. We know, as alluded to, we're a growing city. We have an ultimate goal of having plans for a city of 2 million people, and we know that we need to better serve the city that we have today, which is about 1.2 million people. Having said that, we also know that there are some gaps in our service that we're actively working on with council, and we've been making some incremental improvements as we work together on that. So we delivered a report last fall. I just want to set the broader context for the discussion today with updated analysis of our service needs to a population horizon of 2026. And when we looked at the bus network in particular, we know that we need about another 247,000 annual hours in order to meet our minimum service standards within that growing population. So I know a lot of people have a lot of concerns, requests, and ideas about how to make the service even better. And we know that it needs to be better. And we know that there are some gaps. So we're coming from a place of let's work together to navigate that. So I'm going to go through the first few slides. And then Sarah is going to go through some of the details. If I can get the slides to work, be even better.
My doctor there.
Nope, that didn't work. 1 second.
No, this is the
Sorry.
having 20 tabs. Don't read all the tabs. Oh my gosh, what did he do? This one, I think. No. Oh, I guess I'll now see all my tabs. What did you do?
Well, I was pressing the arrows to move the slides, but it didn't
Yeah,
agree with me.
it's this one. Sorry. There we go.
There we go. Wonderful. Okay, so again, big picture, a reminder of how we're structured within ETS. So as mentioned, we are a branch within the City Operations Department. We have lots of partners within the city administration and also outside of the city of Edmonton. Overall, we're divided between conventional service, which looks at obviously the bus network that you see with our 30, 40, and 60-foot buses. We have our light rail transit, and we have our on-demand transit service that was added as a first kilometer, last kilometer solution to the network. Then we have our paratransit service, which is more specialized. So door-to-door shared ride service, and that's designed for Edmontonians who are unable to use the conventional transit service due to some type of disability. What we're trying to achieve is divided essentially across 5 different service objectives. So that's the experience that we're trying to work towards to create as riders. And I will say all of us here from ETS today, we are riders. We use the service. I identify as a rider probably more so than even working in transit. I've used the service in lots of different cities for well over 20 years. So we're looking at trying to build an experience that's convenient, reliable, safe, accessible, as well as inclusive as we look at the transit service. So we want to highlight how things went in 2024. It was a really big year for us. As you can see, in terms of ridership, and I'll say across all modes of service, all of the service layers, ridership was up. So ridership grew, we hit new records, 61.6 million completed trips for our bus and our LRT related ridership, which is looking at, we had a 12% growth from pre-pandemic 2019 levels, which is really exciting to see. And it was about 23% higher than 2023 levels. Our DATS trip volume has also been climbing and continues to get even higher. We're at about 93% of pre-pandemic trip volumes. Our ARC implementation, we rolled out to the remaining rider groups last year, which was really exciting. And we saw 19.9 million completed ARC trips. So people taking transit using ARC. And again, we were phasing in all of the different rider groups. On demand continues to grow significantly. So we saw almost 700,000 completed trips through the on-demand service. And then in terms of how much service do we actually put out there, last year was about 2.2 million annual service hours. And we monitor and measure rider satisfaction, and overall it was 73% in the last year. So a deeper dive on the 61.6 million completed trips and the new record we set for conventional ridership. We wanted to highlight council's investments over the last few years are paying off. So by improving service, we get the best return on our investment dollars. And this is proven in research. It's not just Carrie saying it. And we were really thrilled to see this continuous year-over-year improvement in our ridership performance. So more off-peak service have been added to the network, more on-demand service hours. Obviously, we launched and opened our Valley Line service. Last year was the first full year of Valley Line Southeast service. Last year, we implemented 70,000 more annual bus service hours to the network. And what we're seeing in particular, which is really interesting, is our crosstown routes and our high-frequency routes. Again, thinking about bus service in particular, we have a frequent transit corridor. We're one of about 5 cities in Canada that have it in the core of our city, and we're seeing about 40% growth for those types of routes, which is really, really significant. Last year, we also did a lot of work on faring related changes. And this year we have a few new offerings that are going to roll out for riders that we're really excited about. We're offering multi-day passes for the first time. So we have a 3-day and a 5-day pass, which can be helpful for the occasional riders, also helpful for visitors that are coming to the city. And you've probably heard me talk about open payment. So the ability to tap a physical or digital bank card or a credit card. That's going to be added to the regional ARC implementation this year as well. And we know lots of riders have been waiting for that, so we're quite excited to introduce that. And I'll end with this note. So every year, March 18th, it's a national campaign, National Transit Operator and Worker Appreciation Day. I work with about 2,600 colleagues represented by ATU, CSU, we've got CUPE, IBEW, lots of great union partners. It's a chance to show appreciation for everybody who works in transit, and I just encourage people, if you can take the time on that day to say thanks, there's a national hashtag that's used as well. It's a great opportunity to show appreciation for all of the people, and I'd say about 89% of the staff that I work with are in direct frontline operational positions, providing support so that we can move 1.2 million residents across the city. And with that, Sarah, who oversees our transit service planning area, among other functions, is going to go through the detailed service plan for this year.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Carrie, and apologies to everyone for seeing all my tabs earlier. I'm very embarrassed. As Carrie mentioned, part of my area is the service planning area. Andrew is the manager of service planning, and John is one of our planners. So that's really the core of what the annual service plan is all about, is what are we doing this year with service? How are we changing bus and LRT and on-demand service and DAT service to meet the needs of our growing city? So our transit planning team, they're continuously focused on refining the network, and they're planning also for the future. And you'd be maybe amazed, surprised at the amount of detailed analysis they do, and it goes into their work, and it all translates up to this annual service plan. So this next section is we're going to go really into some more of the details of what we're planning for this year. So before I get into the details of this year, I just want to talk a little bit about how we make service planning decisions. So some of this may be familiar, some of you may have heard this before, but it helps for those who haven't. So within ETS, we have our council-approved transit service policy and our associated transit service standards procedure. And this guides all of our analysis and the decisions we make related to service. And of course, that's also informed by the budget and what we have available in terms of operating budget and also fleet buses and trains to move the service. So that service standards procedure, it includes targets related to things like boardings, how do we deal with crowding, on-time performance, and other service-related factors. And then how we apply this information includes looking at various options for addressing low-performing routes, as well as options for addressing high-performing routes. So for example, every year we may allocate some service from low-performing routes to assist with higher-performing routes that may have crowding or delay issues. So we are continuously looking all the time, refining our routes and service to ensure we're being as efficient as we can with the resources we have. And we'll give some examples throughout this presentation. You'll see that woven throughout. So to give a bit of further insights with route performance, we look at the performance of every route according to things like on-time performance, are they meeting their schedules, ridership, overloads, crowding, etc. So an underperforming route may see some adjustments to reduce frequency, for example, to improve overall efficiency. And then those resources are reinvested to higher priorities to serve more riders and just generally improve the overall network. We also haven't, and we've been doing this very intentionally the last few years more so, as we are intentionally embedding equity considerations into our service. So if we know that a particular route serves a specific demographic that's more dependent on transit or doesn't have access to other transportation modes, so for example, a senior center is one example, we will take that into account when we're making service decisions related to that route. And we may, for example, give more time to that route to see if it can improve its performance before we make tough decisions. In addition to the data, all that hard data, we look at feedback from riders from various channels. We know our transit riders are experts in their own transit journeys, and we want to hear from them. One source that we hear a lot from is from 311, and we try to incorporate what we hear from that rider feedback into our service decisions. So now into the meat and potatoes, what are we doing? So this year, we were really thankful to have an ability to grow service a bit, adding 50,000 service hours for the whole year. So that's about 1,000 hours per week. And remember, for context, Carrie mentioned we currently operate about 2.2 million hours a year. So 50,000 added to that 2.2 million. And so this was supported by a council decision in the fall of 2023 and also our addition of 20 new buses to the fleet. So in the next few slides, we summarize some of the main categories of change, and then I'm going to go down into a bit more detail. So starting first with some of the bigger changes, one big one is we're converting one on-demand zone, the Keswick-Glenridding zone, from on-demand to a conventional fixed bus route. So it's new bus route 729. And this is going to be an important upgrade for residents in that area. Route 747, our beloved airport bus route, was a priority for us. We've been seeing really high travel demand, and actually to the point where we're having, crowded buses. And so working with our regional partners, because we deliver this service in partnership with some regional municipalities on the airport, we're able to add some service to the route. So we're increasing the frequency of Route 747 in the midday and the early evening to be every 30 minutes. It's currently an hour. So that'll be 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. And then we're also converting a few neighborhoods that are currently on demand are going to be converted to be, currently fixed route are going to be converted to be on demand. So those neighborhoods are Belgravia, Windsor Park, Landrum-Malmo, and Riverdale. And converting them to on-demand will better meet the ridership demand and also give a better span of service to those neighborhoods. They're going to have more off-peak and weekend service than they do with their current fixed route. Specifically for Riverdale, it's also exciting. By doing this, we're realigning the route, the fixed Route 111 that currently services the area. So now Riverdale will have on-demand, and Route 111 will serve the quarters in Chinatown, which is, we have a kind of a gap in that area and will provide a really important connection from the quarters to Chinatown. Okay, more high level, and again, we'll get into more details. So we're increasing frequency. We're tackling some of the overcrowding we're seeing, particularly on our really busy crosstown routes. They've been very well used, very popular. And so this will be meaning more frequent service where we're seeing congestion. We've addressed schedule adherence on routes that are having really frequent delays. And so improving this will help us better meet our time schedules. Investing resources to address crowding and improving schedule adherence helps us improve that rider experience, and it provides a more comfortable ride. We are doing some minor frequency reductions on some routes. So this means reducing frequency by 2 to 5 minutes. And by doing that, we can free up some capacity that we then invest to make improvements to frequency in really busy, high-performing routes. This allows us to be more effective. And then we also have added some extra trips on routes, so some of them can start a bit earlier or end a bit later. Some other changes we're doing regarding school specials. ETS is an important transportation provider to junior high school students, as well as post-secondary students, and we're really committed to supporting educational needs of students in our community. So we've added some service for schools that are having significant enrollment growth. But also looking ahead to September of this year, we're going to be conducting, or we are currently actually conducting, a really in-depth review of our school specials to make sure the resources are allocated effectively. So we will be looking at making a few reductions to school routes for September and reinvesting those hours to those schools that have higher enrollment. We'll be communicating that out this spring in May. Starting with, through the school boards and directly to the students in the affected schools. And then, of course, the service additions will be made in September to those areas that have high ridership and high enrollment. We also have a few more minor route changes. So, for example, routes 508 and routes 122. So Route 508 is in the Millwoods area. It's going to be split into 2 routes so that it can better serve the ridership in that area. And then Route 122, we're extending south in Clairvaux, so can kind of better serve that area. Okay, so now I'm going to go into a bit more details. So when I talked about increasing service frequencies, so these are examples, kind of some of the main ones, although there is a longer list in the annual service plan. So there are several routes across the city that will have service improvements. These are due to really growing ridership, and we have capacity needs on these routes. These ones are the most notable. As I mentioned, the crosstown routes, the crosstowns are the routes in the 50s. So you see here 54 and 56. They have exceeded our average ridership growth across all our routes in the city. They've been very successful. And so we're going to keep monitoring them and see, we've added some service now, and we have our eyes on them always because they continuously kind of need investment to keep up with the demand. Route 719, we're making a change to make it simpler, better distribute the loads of the passengers. So we're just changing a few trips on 719 and increasing some frequencies. And then there's a more comprehensive list of all these frequency changes in the annual service plan, as well as in, yeah, you can see them in the annual service plan when it's published. And then, of course, we constantly monitor ridership trends on all these routes to see where there may be needs in the future to add or adjust frequencies. Okay. So this one, I think, got repeated. Sorry. Okay. So now we'll get into a bit more. I mentioned Route 729. Want to get into the details of how we convert a neighborhood from on-demand to conventional, because I know it's a really topic people are really interested in, and there's a lot of needs related to this. So on-demand service has been really successful in our low-demand areas and as well in new growing neighborhoods to help establish initial ridership. But now we're about 4 years in to on-demand service, and in some areas, the growth in those areas has outgrown capacity. We've been able to add some additional on-demand vehicles to neighborhoods as demand has grown, but there is sort of a tipping point or a threshold where the on-demand service is really no longer the most appropriate way to serve that neighborhood, and a regular fixed bus route is more appropriate. So with the addition of these 1,000 weekly hours, we were able to allocate budget to convert one zone from on-demand to fixed route. We knew we had more neighborhoods than one, or more than one zone that were ready to convert. So we really needed a data-driven approach to inform that decision, considering a number of factors. So these are the factors we considered in that analysis. We looked at the current ridership on the on-demand service, the current population in that neighborhood, future population projections and future transit ridership projections. We have service from the on-demand service on things like wait times. So we looked at what are the current wait times to get a response, as well as seat unavailable. So that's when someone tries to book an on-demand trip and they get the message there's no seats currently available to book, so for you to be able to book in your area, and you have to wait until seats become available. And then we also looked at, what would it take? How many buses would we need versus how many on-demand buses to serve that area? And so we reviewed this for our top areas. So these were the top 4 neighborhoods that were we think are really ready to convert from on-demand to a fixed route. So they are Big Lake, Winterburn, Kinkamau, Kavanaugh, Cashman, the Hills of Charlesworth, and Keswick and Glenridding Ravine. And so you can see here, this just summarizes the current ridership and current population. And by far, the Keswick Glenridding area had the highest ridership and the highest population, and really stood out to us as most in need of to be converted. So that is what we are doing. The new Route 729, this is what it will look like. It will operate every 20 minutes during the peak and every 30 minutes in the midday and the evenings. We're doing a bit of a hybrid approach. So for the weekends, it will still have on-demand service. And we felt that that's, looking at the weekend ridership, that's the most efficient way to do this. As we transition areas like Keswick Glenridding Ravine to conventional bus service, that allows us to really optimize our on-demand network and respond to reliability and capacity needs throughout all of the service. So what this means is that the on-demand vehicles serving this area, they're going to be invested back into the rest of the on-demand network and help to improve the service citywide. I'm almost done. This is a lot of detail. Almost done. So once again, this year we're publishing route report cards. They explain how our routes perform related to our service standards. Our analysts and planning team have done a bit of a refresh to make them a bit more user-friendly. So you'll see that there's kind of a bit of a new look to them. This is an example of what one of them looks like. They show route performance, things like various ridership factors, things like productivity, crowding, and schedule adherence. And this, provides us a snapshot, helps us understand and guide if we need to, if the service levels are satisfactory, or if we need to make adjustments to make improvements to the route. So these are actually, they'll be published online with the annual service plan, but if you go looking on the open data, they're there already. So anyone wants to go look at the route report cards, you can go home today and look at them.
That's you, Daniel.
Yeah, they're there. I checked. Okay, that's enough on the bus side. A couple slides on LRT and DATS. And well, actually, we've got a little bit more bus stuff. bear with me. LRT, just one slide. So we're always working on the LRT to maintain the system. And that includes, renewing essential infrastructure, doing upgrades, and adapting our service. So there's one big project this year that will have a bit of that will have service implications. We're renewing the 118th Avenue Bridge, which is what Coliseum Station sits on top of that bridge, and it crosses 118th Avenue. So this is a multi-year project, and it's a really crucial investment in to maintain the capacity of the LRT system and its overall health. But because during this work, it will reduce frequency on the capital line. So we're reducing frequency a bit, but we're mitigating that by making longer trains. So we should still be able to move as many people, but it'll be just a little bit less frequent during the construction period this summer and early fall. And that's the main LRT project this year. Now back to the bus side, talk a little bit about detours. You may have heard recently news talks about accelerated construction for Valley Line West. So this was recently talked about at City Council. There's going to be a accelerated construction schedule to move forward with Valley Line West roadworks with some full closures of some intersections, and it's in a phased manner. So there's 2 intersections being done. When they're done, the next 2 will be done. And so this will really help, just kind of accelerate and get some of the road work done in Valley Line West. It also means we're going to be able to sequence our bus route detours around that same schedule, and that will help us mitigate the impacts of riders. So we have sort of a phase 1 detour plan, phase 2 detour plan. But there will be some short-term detours to the routes serving along those corridors. So routes 5, 7, 900X, and the 904 will all have some detours throughout this spring, summer, and early fall. And then some other bigger projects. This is kind of what we do every day. We detour bus routes and we do bus stop closures. A few of the bigger projects, there's a few neighborhood renewal projects this year. So the Battern and Garapi neighborhoods are undergoing neighborhood renewal. And so we'll be replacing within those neighborhoods, we'll have an on-demand service so that people can still have that last mile connection out of the neighborhood to get to the rest of the transit network while the renewal is underway. Because we can't get a big bus through the neighborhood while the neighborhood renewal is happening. And then we work really closely with the infrastructure department and Parks and Roads on lots of other detours. You may have heard in the news talks about, bridges, all the bridges are going to be closed. It was a bit overstated, but it's not as bad as it sounds. We have a big one related to the Wellington Bridge serving the West End, and thankfully that will come after the Valley Line West detours are completed. There's also a lot of work still ongoing on Terwilliger Drive with the Rainbow Valley Bridge being widened, as well as the Jasper Avenue project. So we just really work closely with the areas of the city doing the construction to come up with, the least impactful detours possible, sometimes close bus stops and go around on the neighboring roads so we can move around the construction area. And if anyone's interested in details on those, that's why Andrew and John are here. We can get into more details. Okay, I'm almost done. Just wrapping up. Okay, and last but not least, on the DATS side. So wanted to highlight another really exciting thing this year. DATS turns 50 this spring in April of 2025. DATS will have 50 years of service to the community, and there's going to be a bit of a celebration of that. This year, we're also focused on implementing a number of continuous improvement pieces for DATS. There was recently an audit of DATS that let us look at some internal processes that we're going to be working on and implementing. But regarding rider-facing changes, we've been doing a lot of things over the last several years on an action plan for DATS to improve reliability for riders and give more flexibility and more tools. So on one piece is working with our contracted taxi providers that serve a big portion of DATS customers. We've been working with integrating their services into our technology so we can do more real-time deployment of DATS service. And that just helps increase capacity, make the service more responsive, and basically allow more service to be available to DATS riders. And then we've also been working on a bunch of technology upgrades that are kind of the backbone behind the DATS service. So we've been working on self-service technology upgrades for allowing online booking, allowing people also to use the IVR, which is the phone interactive voice booking system. So that gives riders more options to book their trips and make it more convenient for them. And then lastly, related to DATS, but just related to accessibility overall, We have a multi-year accessibility action plan for ETS, and we're still working on continuously implementing items in that action plan. And big part of that is a partnership we've had with the Canadian National Institute of the Blind. They had a Get On Board campaign they ran last year, and from the learnings of what we heard from that campaign, we've used that to inform our action plan, and we're continuously working on implementing items in that plan. So just to wrap up, I want to just thank everyone for coming out today, for being interested in transit on a sunny Sunday afternoon where you could be out, I don't know, chipping ice or something. That's what I probably have to do later. The annual service plan will be published later this week. This is a sneak preview. The actual document will be published later this coming week. And this is the URL where it's published. You can also find the route report cards will be published there. But as I said, it's already on open data. If you want to go find the route report cards, they're there already. And I'll pass it back to Michael.
Thank you. So, big hand to both of them for pulling this together. We good? Okay. Yeah, keep going. Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's say that if you want to know what's important to your community, don't look at the strategic plans, look at the budget. And I gotta just share with you that by and large, the number one expenditure in the city of Edmonton is roads. Our road network is valued at $14 billion. That's we have a lot of roads, we have a lot of bridges, we have a lot of crossings, and every year we spend on just the operational costs of those roads $166 million. That's going into the sweeping, the snow removal, just the care and feeding, if you will, of the roads. And on top of that, there's another $300 million in capital costs to our roads every single year. That goes into neighborhood renewal, bridge replacement, auto replacement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we know our road network is incredibly expensive. We have 11,000 kilometers of roads. So when you think about all of the traffic coming in from the West End, we had not built an LRT. Or all this traffic coming in from the Woods, we had not built an LRT. And we have to continue expanding laneway, roadway, everything else is incredibly expensive. So when you hear about transit, just putting that cost into context, transit sounds really, really expensive. And it is, until you consider the alternatives, right? And that's where the for decades, Edmonton has continued kind of keeping transit at status quo, even though population is increasing, kilometers of roads are increasing, neighborhoods are increasing. But it's only now in the last 3 years that we've been trying to turn the tide to keep more investment into transit, into more routes, into more places, etc. So just wanted to share that a little bit from the political side. So now we're going to move to the rapid fire questions section. And what I'm gonna, these other questions, we'll get Horch pop them all down here. Thank you. And as I said, you could choose to do it. There is there. You could answer the question, or you could say pass, or you could say, hey, I'll get back to you later. And we can figure out a way to compile the question to do kind of a Q&A after. Before we get any further, are the posting on the filter delayed? Does it ever have somewhere? Okay, good. Yeah, we'll get some more into it. Yeah, sure. We have those route report cards. So you can go and look up any route, the 9, the 4, the 8, etc. And in my current, you could see how often that bus was late, how that bus is doing, how many riders does that bus. Yep. Intro live demo? Yeah, it was. And I was thinking of one that say the age, because that goes through a couple of busy areas too. Because I know sometimes when we hear about buses being late with construction or traffic or downtown.
And I just want to flag this is that not all of the transit services do this. But when we implement our bus network, we want to be super transparent about performance. And the team, and thank you to Andrew and company, really took the reins and to pull this flow. And we're really proud of it from a transparency and accountability perspective.
Yeah, so this is on open data right now. At the top, you pick a route. So you just scroll down to pick one. So just pick route 1 for fun. It shows the route map. It shows the on-time performance for weekdays, Saturday and Sunday. And it colors the circle depending on if it's doing really well or doing not so well. And This is just a summary route frequency of what a service level is. See, like, okay, this route operates how often, different periods, and then the productivity. So we have the number of trips that route has a day, the number of service hours a day, our ridership per hour, daily riders, and then percent of trips that are considered crowded. And we have a definition crowded in that service step for accept guides, that calculation. And then you see out here that that definition is below for different sizes of bus, what load be. So yeah, you want to check it out? It's online. And there's one other fun thing about the route numbers. Routes 1 through 9 are the frequent transit network, or FTN, you call it. If you read Jarrett Walker's book, he talks about frequent networks. Those are kind of key current Vermont's network redesign. The 50s are the crosstown routes. And then after that, the ones with an X are express. And then otherwise, the way it works is the 100s at the northeast, it's a clock base, 100, 500, 700, 950, around the city. And then we reserve the 600s for school stuff. Their municipal specials are not listed in the report cards. So they're very unique. And they have their own kind of way we assess performance. This is just the main bus routes.
Awesome. And all of that is transparent. It's available on all the data. You can download it. You can compare routes. You can look at, say, your bus keeps frequently getting stoppages. It's something that could be an area of advocacy that you could write to your city councilor about. You talk to us about other ways that we can advocate. We're talking right now about transit priority measure, which could include signaling changes or priority lanes or dedicated lanes or things that we could do to help minimize the routes in the red and move them back to routes in green. So just to try bringing, as Carrie and Sarah said, not every city does this. I used to get calls saying, oh, the bus is empty, and now I can go and limit and say, well, actually, that's because it's driving to where it's picking up 40 people and then coming back. So, we of course want to maximize that, but this is transparent, it's defensible, it's all Edmontonians can look at it. So if you hear folks saying that, I think it's a really key metric. Yeah. So answer the question. Ready?
Ready.
Get the water. That's good. Yeah. So the first question: fossil. Can everybody hear? And can everybody hear our vest if they project this? Okay, good. Fossil fuel in transit. Is their use going up or going down?
A couple of layers and answer that one. So we're deeply committed to transitioning the fleet towards a zero emission vehicle. We're testing different options, and through exploring funding programs and not including collaborative, the Canada Public Transit Fund, which is a federal funding program, I really hope it stays following an election. And if there is a change in government, a big change to look at. But I do hope that funding program exists because it enables municipalities to purchase fleet and get funding support to do the necessary transition. So I would say over the last probably 4 years, we've been able to reduce our emission relative to pre-pandemic, but we can go much further. We just dipped our toes in water. We're not even swimming. So we know that there are limited bus manufacturers, which complicates how quickly we can make this transition. So it's both a funding issue and then just how fast we can do it. There's only 2 main bus manufacturers now. We've had some bankruptcies in the manufacturing sector. As if anybody wants to start a business. The 2 main manufacturers, your choices are getting restricted and they have long wait. So Sarah Mitch Council funded our last set of buses back in 2023, and it only arrived for service commencement in April of 2025. So you're looking at about 18 months to get a bus. But we are excited to make the transition with council support and navigate what that looks like.
The new draft.
I don't want to basically any service, but middle of it's all about surface stuff I talked about. There's lots of exciting projects to talk about. And one of the ones that we're working on right now is designing our next garage. It's a 5th bus garage we'll have in the Southeast. And right now it's called Southeast Transit Garage. We'll have a proper name in the future. But the funding for that is tied to it being a zero emission garage. So there's the buses themselves, and there's also leading or supporting infrastructure and facility to charge and maintain them. So really excited because that garage is meant to support
If you're interested, the city of Edmonton has a carbon budget. It's like a report card of where the emissions come from the city, and the largest source of our emissions is our transportation system. So even if it's a diesel bus, if that bus is allowing for 40 people not to be driving single internal combustion engine cars, that diesel bus removes that of that route. Our it's call it a carbon harm reduction decision to keep buying the diesel buses, but the idea, anytime you can get people out of a car onto a bus onto an alternative, you will be you will be positive on your carbon budget. And all of that, the math behind it, the science behind it is all available at energy.ca. Just search custom budget. So good bike to the next. How do you monitor whether or not buses are on time? How is on time?
So yeah, so all of the buses we have are AVL, like they have automated vehicle allocation. This was necessary to run ARC, and it's also how if when you're looking to book a trip, you can see real time buses. That's also the same system that gives a performance tells us like every bus, when it's at a bus stop, exactly where it is along its journey. So we can compare the schedule to the actual, and that's how we get performance. We have a very specific measure for on-time performance. It's around on-time departures, so a bus departing on time, and there's a threshold of how late or early it can depart. But yeah, we can look at like every single bus, every bus stop to tell you.
What is going on with bus rapid transit planning, the BRT?
Yeah, so as part of this 4-year budget, City Council approved to do planning, initial planning and concept planning for 2 bus rapid transit routes. They're called B1 and B2, also the have better dates in the future. One that goes from like Eau Claire down to down south, down Gateway, across the border, Gateway Boulevard, Baldry Trail to Century Park. The other one's east-west along White Avenue and goes to West Edmonton Mall. They are, so right now, they're engaged that next day, the concept planning. And the city now has an instructor delivery model for major infrastructure projects, a gated process. So they have to finish one gate and move on to the next. So we're now at this concept planning stage. When that wraps up, hopefully, council will think about what we'll fund next for design and construction. And again, it'll keep for funding, Canada Public Transit funding, plus get some of the.
And can I just add, there was a preliminary alignment shown during one of the council reports the last 6 months. But it was very, very preliminary. So the actual transportation kind of planning lens that's on it now is doing the deeper dive. Recommendations based on community input in addition to a bunch of other factors. So if you hear anything or are concerned about any alignment, from what I say alignment, I mean specific, street level movement of a bus related to B1 or B2, please know that was just very preliminary. That doesn't mean as the council's going to approve or what's going to be recommended to council.
So high level, there's a rapid bus plan for Century Park to cast the bounce, probably shooting up Calgary Jail. We don't know exactly though the fine print on where the stations would be. There's also going to be a rapid bus from Bonnie June to West Edmonton Mall. Again, if I ranked up where the stations will be. The third, argument, the third one though, from Southern Campus to Willoughby Rec Center, where the dedicated lanes on Faubourg Drive.
Yes.
That B3 or upset.
Oh, what's the number? I guess that it's basically a base express route of using the bus lanes onto your drive. And it will eventually get extended from what right now goes to Lechugar Transit Center, and as Willoughby Drive, next phase, Cosado Bahende, it goes to the Windermere area.
An update on fair payment water.
Yeah, so we're working with our vendor for this last phase of the implementation, so that TAPCR part kind of features. So he just started our user acceptance testing. Not to be too nerdy, but there's internal user acceptance testing. Then we're going to evaluate how that went. They might need to make some adjustments. Then we'll look at engaging riders to do some rider-based testing. So we want that to take the longest it needs to make sure that it's working the way it needs to. Then we'll look at our watch. So it's definitely happening this year. It's just hard to pinpoint the exact month because there's interdependency between all of the testing phases. But I, again, knock on wood, this. I'm really hopeful that it's done well in advance of the fall. because I know some of the people would resume our transit-dependent activities in September as the finished vacations go back to school, et cetera, et cetera. So that's milestone that we're working towards.
When will ETS do another passenger count on the LRT stations?
Interestingly enough, we have a report going March 18th and should be released at the end of this week. And it's during the motion from council looking at additional safety measures for the LRT. And as part of that discussion, this happened last fall, there was discussion about automated fast secure it's the technology and equipment that we have on our buses. So where 2/3 the bus fleet has it. And we want to add it to our high floor LRT. We have it for Valley Line and we have it for buses. We don't have it for the high floor one as the high climbing Capital Natural Line. We don't have that equipment installed. So it's actually mentioned in the report because it was in the motion. And again, it's an opportunity to look at the Canada Public Transit Fund. We're putting it forward as something we'd like to receive it. As soon as we get that added, that's actually doing daily counts, essentially on the LRT, and then we'll have the entire network covered for that data-driven approach.
Any plans to make booking on demand easier and more accessible?
Let's know more about that experience.
Well, that is a homework.
We want to learn. Sorry, I just want to say we want to learn what the challenges are, so we could then talk to our vendor. That's a third party provides that service for us, and that can enable us to have those conversations without to understand barriers better.
Yep. Can ETS consider waiving the rent for commercial tenants in underground stations to encourage activation?
So also in this report, I talked about that will discuss contracting with council. Station activation plan is mentioned, and we've had conversations before with council about different ways you can bring more activities to the stations. One of them that's looking at how we can support vendors to have a presence in transit. And I know Sarah has worked on trying to remove some barriers.
I know before I should want this Tuesday. We're talking a little bit about the kiosks. So there's the dedicated kiosks maybe seen there that are leased. About half of them, there's 9 total, 4 or 5 out of 9 are leased right now. So we have to working with our real estate partners to see how can we fill the other ones. Has been tough. I think it's not just the rent isn't particularly high. It's more actually just them seeing the business case fee there and the demand. So working with real estate to see if we can attract more. Busking, there's no busking fee, so we remove that here. That's good. We're not really trying to generate a lot of revenue from this. We want to step activation too.
Speaking around you, what will the ETS art shop deal?
You just like the vendor to run the store, and it should be going out in the next week. It's then a bit of a while. Well, we really want it washed before the late fall, because we want people to be able to buy it fall days. That are ready. Stay tuned. As soon as we can get that thing going.
I ask your weekly.
I ask the team and then we ask procurement.
Back to open data. So you have the route report cards. Do you have report cards for the numbers for each LRT line? And is that goes to the data as well?
So we haven't had an LRT report card before. We've been talking about it. So we're going to work on that as a continuous improvement thing.
Could you anecdotally share how the fund has been doing since inception to now?
Yes. Yeah. But it's been doing really well. Online, the buy is just continuing to grow every month. Fundraiser runs. We're over 250,000 rides. And so hard to hit up both yet. 250,000 rides a month, which was more than double my last in the fall of 2023. Overall, but he's satisfied. It's doing well. On-time performance on the LRT in general is very high. So as you can imagine, the dedicated infrastructure.
Just curious, did we just the frequency numbers, just if we're goals based on our sorry.
Yeah, we want bike growth trajectory and non-still pristine to continue to climb. So January results were incredible across, again, all levels of service. I'm actually getting to the point where I'm a little nervous because we don't have a lot of growth content, but we know ridership keeps growing and growing and growing. So how do we manage expectations, make sure we can deliver what people need in that constrained environment? But ridership is all covered. It's fantastic.
This question about Coliseum Station redesign and underneath that reconstruction. What will be going into the future station redesigns or when will that conversation be happening, and how will it feedback into that?
So I'll start, and then Sarah can jump in. So there was a presentation done to council probably 5-6 years ago, talking about the future vision for that entire area, and looking at a model where the existing station would essentially disappear. We have 2 stations filled in its place that are maybe just slightly smaller, but serving people in that area as part of kind of a redevelopment for all of it. We've identified in a 10-year horizon for the Canada Public Transit Fund some placeholder kind of opportunities to talk about getting the ball rolling on that process. So we, through the PPDM model for any capital, it's multi-year. So we wanted to kind of acknowledge that we want to get that started. And I think with council, that the funnel can be that Canada Public Transit Fund is the opportunity to have the discussion about, do you want to accelerate that? What would the funding types be? How do we get all to I know I'm chatting with Councillor Solomon here about it. We're really excited to see what's around policy at that station up the list. Valin needed to be defined.
And just to pin up on that, like our the design idea for there would be similar like CF Stadium, right? Moving away from having the big underground concourse, monstrosity, and more to that like urban style grade level access. We don't want to redo and replace that station as a big project and then later build new ones to support our plans or developments.
So I'm working 50 would you get but one C here that keeps coming up. It's kind of the for example the Metro Line North. When would that be planned for? Or there's a couple of questions just about like we have science realities. The train should go here, it should go there. But what is the next step in terms of funding or actually what's the next checkpoint that thing?
Yeah, so extending mental length for through market, my understanding is conversations are happening with CN because they're the portion that would require kind of commission and cooperation, collaboration to consider taking it further. So I think TOPS, hence this stage, is at. There was some funding provided by council early in the term, I believe, to kind of push in that direction and get that kind of stage of conversation up as part of a planning phase. But right now, the focus is definitely Valley Line West, critical and self-extension phase 1. Those are funded, being implemented actively. In 2028, it's a big year for transit, 120th anniversary for transit in Edmonton. 50th anniversary for LRT. We get our first replacement train bar, replacing our original 50-year-old U2. So whatever community celebration and just turn it into a really big year. And I'm hoping that some of the LRT extensions will be ready for service same year. So if you're thinking of that, 2028 is going to be a fun those stations that are active.
Maybe I'll just add a little bit more on mass transit. So the city plan was for that longer-term vision of say $2 million, and then there was a mass transit network to support that. And follow-up work was what does it look like the first kind of phase of building towards the city plan? So was the mass transit network to a population of 1.25 million? Of course, we're almost there. So another also starting to work on 1.5. But the 1.25 million network, my council had a couple less plans pieces. So at those 3 BRT routes, sorry, I forgot to Williger. B1 means given the Williger route. And the only other extension was the Metro Line North to Castletown. So crossing from Blatchford, crossing the rail yard and going to Castletown's. That actually line eventually does extend to Naki, but that was not part of that phase. So council approved part of the 4-year budget buying the land to support that. So to acquire the land along the alignment. But the big hurdle, like Harry said, is crossing the Walker yards from Blatchford over the CN yards. It's a big, expensive bridge that you'd see it support that.
from my lens as a counselor, so you're elected for a 4-year term. So like I was elected from 2021 to 2025. The next election is 2025 to 2029. In there, off 1 year, is that what's called a 4-year capital plan. So we get elected in 2021. And then in 2022, we passed the 4-year capital plan for 2023 to 2026. So it's sort of like you get elected and then council has the year and they say, okay, these are the 4th of the major projects we're going to build over the next 4 years. So like replacement of our electric park, this bridge, buying new LRT bars, doing those things. So a lot of the questions, like we will have plans, like the LRT should go there, it should go there, but actually committing to the project does not happen until the next capital plan. So that's why for those of you with specific questions about alignment of a train, your next major decision point will be 2026. So setting up all your advocacy, your case for investment and all of that, calling your counselor, so calling the mayor and all of that, your target would be 2026 capital plan. If that makes sense there. I've heard that bus transit and LRT transit are run under 2 different departments. Is it true? How do you resolve communication and financial conflicts? I think this is Carrie, you had one of your 2 children, you want them more.
You know, what's interesting is I mentioned at the beginning, we have a lot of partners. So the city decided when they built Benelux Lights Up East, part of the funding, there was stipulation that it be provided through a third-party provider. So we have in-house for each guest that I oversee with the team, Sarah and her counterparts, Metro Line, top of the line. We have our conventional bus service. We have a third-party contract for the on-demand service and a third-party contract delivered by Lines Up East. And it is challenging, but we have contracts that stipulate service requirements. We have relationships where we meet weekly to discuss, are they leading our service levels? Are they integrated as can be? There's some constraints with the contract that means we can't respond maybe as quickly with certain things on, let's say, Valley Line, where I can do it much more quickly, or Metro Line and Canada Line. So it's difficult, but at the same time, that is the structure we have. So we're trying to make it work as best we can. And I think relationships really go the distance. So if it's frequent in the touch points, being transparent about issues. And I'll give a quick example. When there's a service disruption on a Valley Line, let's say they're having a switch issue, we need their control center to notify our control center that they had a disruption, but we are responsible for providing bus support if the trains can't run. So then we need to get our bus support in place, get our inspectors to be there, those that have stuck on the trains, I don't stuck on the train. It's frustrating. And then we have to have our inspectors, health riders to access the bus. We have to coordinate with Transit to get the overhead announcements running. And the screen message is updated. It's a bit clunky, and we know that it can do better. And that's an example in the integration that we're trying to work through.
And then this question was asking about, I think it might be asked about LRT expansion and renewal branch. So just to clarify, like they're designing and building LRT, but the extensions, but actual operating of LRT day to day and fixing the track and driving trains that are there. Yeah, you're doing it.
The government of Alberta announced that they would be creating a rail plan. They've been in contact with Edmonton Transit about opening lines of communication for better rail and transit integration across Alberta.
Yeah, we had a few meetings with them. So they're doing, and I've heard it described in different ways. So I'd heard feasibility study, I heard master plan, I've heard strategy. They're doing something where they're interested in a rail plan for the province, including our region, and looking at different kind of components. We had a very high-level preliminary proposition about 15-year horizon and reinforce the importance of considering integration with our network because it's a seamless rider experience and helping them understand a lot of people take a bus to get to a train service. And then let's say they were to do, and they've said it publicly, an airport downtown kind of solution. Well, we want to help. We want to get people to that line so that we can all get to the airport in a seamless way. So very preliminary, and Sarah's team have been engaged with them a bit more than I have, but I'd say more to come, and it's at the high levels.
And if anyone's interested in that, if you have some public open houses coming up soon in April, I don't know a specific date. If you could look online, the GOA is about to say that around that spot, Steve.
Will it be possible to pay with Google Pay or Apple Pay or other alternatives when we have Open Pay at site or miss cards?
Yeah, so the open payment will allow you to tap like physical credit card or debit card, or your Google or Apple wallet on your phone with a digital or with a digital credit card. There won't be a digital ARC card that'll fit. So that's something you're thinking about maybe for the future. What it would be is like using your credit or debit card. It's or in wallet. Yeah, so
I'm sorry on that. Would it cost more to use credit card or the beach?
nope, there wouldn't be. You need to go link that credit card you're using to your account. So, for example, if you have a concession like senior or youth or what, any concession, just make sure that that credit card you're tapping, which is linked to your account, so you can get your pass and your.
Can ARC be used to pay for like parking or a spur ride as well? Necessary to help with last mile efficient automations.
Of that question. Yes. Yeah, I think it's kind of the future plan. I mean, I think I've shared before and we'll put survey. I love the idea of integrating multiple modes together, and we wanted to more to integrate active modes with transit and have lots of date and opportunities so we can get fully lined up. And I think this is an example of one of the future art kind of evolutions that we can work on to get this open payment launched. We can look at what comes next.
Thanks.
So can we look at the ARC card there here right now? So when you're wire tapping it all. So biggest reason to tap when you're leaving, so people like Andrew and Jafan can understand the types of trips that take with transit. So they when they're looking at not just the warning information on the court card, but get a sense of where people are going, using transit can help us add service or adjust service to make sure that we meet your needs. So we might think, but and my thoughts, fast tap routes, yeah, I figured they would do well. I had no idea the extent that they would be utilized. And knowing that we continually, over 4 years, had to add more service to those routes, 54 and 56 as examples. Getting access to that trip information really helps the service planning, but there's no additional fee charged if you forget to tap off. I have forgotten to tap off at times. That was a bit of a miscommunication to get the start. There's no additional penalty or fee charged if you happen to forget.
There's a number of questions about service disruptions, and now that we have ARC card, we have to have ARC card now. We have different apps. Is there a way to integrate push notifications, text messages, station announcements, other ways to the users and riders directly? And a question about mobile service, the other graph.
Okay, so I'll take the last one first. It's really fun and straightforward. So Council had us funding to add cellular connection to the underground tunnels within an IRT to address that cat. We select our providers or partner with TELUS, and that was delivered with as well. Works on our way. We're really excited to see that. So it'll be implemented this year, and it'll just, again, address the gap that we had. In terms of integrating notifications, we agree. We're working with our provider right now for an updated trip planner tool that would be on our website that would also have mobile, and it may give us more ability to view the push notifications. But we completely agree. We want to integrate all of these systems so that it's really easy for us and to be notified if there's any disruption.
How are we ensuring students that work on a school special can still effectively get to their area? Given the changes to the school specials. So maybe that might get specific follow-up question about that specific area you can teach. But do you want to speak generally?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's something we've thought about quite a bit. And just so you know, this being done with school boards, so not in isolation. So Sarah could meet with them regularly to talk about it. We've, for school specials that haven't led our service standards, we've actually given an additional full school year to see it that kind of proof, and if we get the warnings to come up. to meet those thresholds. We've had conversations about equity impacts. So we're looking at where those underperforming threats are to see if there are alternatives and that to engage in conversations with families about. So as an example, if 5 people are using a school special and that doesn't meet our standard, how do we support those 5 families and also engage in the relevant counselors in those discussions? So more to come. It'll be tailored, I think, to each kind of area where those decisions have been made. But we know that we have other areas of the network that need those service hours and you get productivity. So looking at our service standards, that's why we made the decision that it's fine. We've given it an extra full year and it still hasn't improved. We'll make sure it was.
It's a question about adding more public transit to be regional destinations such as Sherbrooke, Edmonton, or Edmonton, Fort Saskatchewan, etc. How is the how are regional partners considered in the added service plan, and how do those bilateral agreements work?
Yeah, so we have a regional collaboration table where Sarah and I meet with our colleagues in the region. We meet at least monthly and talk much more regularly. We have a multi-year kind of plan that we're working on, identifying further opportunities for better integration. And they're right, it includes service. So how do we integrate our service more? We've made small improvements and to kind of build a momentum and show that, yeah, we can find these big ends and make sure that we can serve people on a regional level. And we on a research plan.
Yeah, I mean, so one example of a quick win, just that we already did do with Kingskinville was Cloverdale area has no bus routes. Just we do that. OHD is opening to kind of provide a school bus. Merged with the county transit so that their buses were already going to the name bit, just not stopping. So then they stop in Cloverdale and stay in Trials bus. But in terms of just like generally improving service, it's around those conversations regionally. Each of the 7 transit agencies is independent and makes their own service plan and their service decision. So our annual service plan is for BTS service, not for their agencies, but for where we stand and all support each other and identify opportunities where their service needs.
Question about for the annual service plan: are there contemplation of more buses later at night or early in the morning? Are we moving beyond sort of the bangers hours and frequency considerations?
Yeah, I mean, over the last few years, I've been doing a lot at the off-peak because that's where we've actually seen a lot of demand increasing, like on the midday, the evenings, the weekends. All of our rides carry on, all the directions growing across all the services. But we've seen a lot of growth in the off-peak. And so a lot of the plan for work, a lot of the frequency improvements, for example, we're talking about are not in those traditional like commuter peak periods. They're in off-peaks and weekends. That's
The equivalence will the Heritage Valley Transit Center be used on weekends? How it could be used.
So, ultimately, Heritage Valley Transit Center, we're looking forward to making up Line Southwest complete because the LRT station will be there. Then we'll have Transit Center, Park and Ride LRT station development. A great opportunity to sort of realign some of the routes southwest Edmonton to flow into the transit center, have people connect to the train. Until then, we continue to run the shuttle from Park and Rides to Century Park. And, as people use it, they adjust certain space.
Another question: is the Valley Line West a B3 project? It is, and it's overseen by very well, right?
Yeah, yes, that's it. So Valley Line Southeast was built as a design, build, operate, finance, vehicle, and maintenance. Big old background. Do the whole things. One big contract. Alvin West, they heard of it differently. So Marigold has hired, contract to design and build infrastructure. Another partner was hired to deliver the trains, and then there's a conversation about what the operation space will look like. So more to come on how Valley West. But the idea is that one single seat operator for all of Valley Line, Southeast and West, is one.
If you go on YouTube, they actually it's on either the Marigold channel or the Edmonton Transit channel. I'm not sure if we shared it, but there's a excellent video where they go through each of the elements of the West Line with a drone, and they say, so here's what we were doing over by West Edmonton Mall. You see it's a lot. This is what we're doing. Over here, we're doing this. Over here, we're doing this. So there's, and they go out to those routes and such too. So it's actually one of the more transparent things I've seen, and it's done in transparent, like accessible language. I'm not an engineer, but they share a lot of interesting things there. So if you have any friends in the West End who are complaining about the construction, you can show them this video about what's actually happening there. I will speed it. Question about integrated active transportation along with transit. Help me also connect with Miss Transit active transportation links and help people get where they're going safely.
Yeah, we work really closely with our infrastructure partners and specifically with the team working on the accelerated active transportation plan. And I think I've talked about it before. We've got opportunities, I think, at best around missing kind of points to the network, but how to facilitate that seamless experience. So I might want to bite farther away. Let's say, but I buy the bus and then take the bus. Or I might want to cycle to an LRT station, really crowd, and I know, sorry, I bring it up again, but you take the bike on the LRT any time of day. Like, that was really important change that we made. Pretty much as soon as I went into this condition. So there's lots of neat opportunities, I think, and again, it's just a question of we have a new style of bike rack as an example that's more inclusive and allows for flat tire bikes, e-bikes, children's bikes, all of the gaps behind the current racks. And we can in line on funding to do a replacement of those. That'll make it easier to choose that kind of integrated trip.
Another we're working on expanding on is shared member mobility. So the e-scooter, e-bike, having corrals or digital virtual corrals at the LRT stations, transit centers. So we have people out here working closely with the folks in the Parks and Roads Department to expand those corrals to more areas. Like get off the LMT, there might be an e-scooter there. Take the next turn.
You mentioned the new Cal and Metro buying trains. How soon will user testing commence?
I think the first straight because of right big on schedule 2027. I can confirm that with you. I think it's like 2027 or 2028, so that there would be a model very vastly in advance, and that's for village riders. But I'll get new to the that.
Similarly, as a wheelchair user, how are there opportunities or how can we participate in user testing for current and future Edmonton Transit service projects?
Yeah, for sure. We really appreciate that question. We have done targeted engagement in the past and want to continue to do that. We also work with our accessibility advisory committee. We have an advisory group for the DATS leadership team, and just open it up. Like if there's specific opportunity for collaboration, just reach out either through the councillor office or directly with us. So we'd be happy to engage in that conversation.
Question about our fare schedule in particular for seniors. I'm not sure it'd be easier, Sarah, maybe to both up for we can look at that, but just how does the council has approved certain fare structures? There's tasks now with our card though. It's big changes. How does this work in particular for seniors as well too? And then did you want to chat about the Bride Transit funding from the French government despite it? I don't know. We can.
Yeah. Like we were really worried that the grant permit. So the local transit pass program has been followed by who would be doing the city and the province. We introduced it back in 2016, 2017. It's been anxiety inducing because it's typically 1 year at a time and you're never quite certain that it's going to get renewed and it's all on the bubble. Last year, as you all heard, it was decided that they weren't going to continue with it. And it was their voices that spoke up and said, no, this program is essential. It has to stay. Please reconsider. And the province stayed, which is great. There was lots of that going into this budget cycle. So thank you to the transit riders group and some other voices. And what we saw was reps in their budget plan that they were continuing up below and transit properties, which don't have our dollar not confirmed, but we're going to tell it. But then now that the dust has settled, budget was released just like middle of last week. So we should have the exact dollar figure confirmed hopefully this week. I've heard anecdotally through intergovernmental relations that they said it would be maintained. So we got the same grant as last year, which would be helpful.
And do you remember how many thousands in 2020 it's this benefit from this program?
There's about 30,000 people to use their fund. Yeah, and there's a bigger pool of people who are eligible, but there's kind of a lot of turnover. People who choose to use it every month. So it can grow. It's originally budgeted. You're on funny cast people takes more than 50. Yeah, seniors. So what was the questions, right?
A general question. It'd be helpful to use that, but like out the bears records.
Okay, yeah. So as much as possible with ARC, we try to just replicate all the current fares in ARC for the most part, but there are some changes. In general, a lot of groups now have access to pay as they go. So adults, youth, seniors, to pay as they go model. So you don't need at the beginning of the month to buy a monthly pass. You can tap until you hit a cap. And we have different caps for different as the user groups. So this is set out in our fare policy that we have discounts based on the app standard adult amount is the kind of the baseline, and then the other groups are discounted based on percentage. So right now for seniors, for example, the monthly cap is just went to $36. So you would tap, every tap is $3, and you tap until you hit $36, and then after that, for the rest of the month, you got also free. You don't have to pay every time you tap. And then that starts again at the beginning of the next month. That's what works for most groups. Seniors are actually a little bit different because they also have an annual cap, which is $386, if I remember correctly. And so basically, the pricing of the way that works is like ride 11 months to month for free. So they have an annual cap that you're stoked. And that was, again, we were replicating the former fee schedule, not creating new products. And then we also got a low latency years annual, low penalty. That's a tiered ball. So similar correct concept. There's a tier 1 and tier 2.
So whether it's for it for $36, do you need to add more money to the car?
No, you don't need to add more money when you hit $36. When you get close, though, it is good to keep a minimum balance $4 in your account. Because when you get close to that, it can get a yellow signal, a glow 1 signal. So it's good when you first set an account with $4, and then every month, add the amount you're going to use. You don't want your balance to get a yellow.
So in other words, if you hit your $36 and you put $40 in there, you bought your $4 back. And so your card isn't going to give you a little beep beep and tell you that you're out of space to have a trip.
No, it shouldn't. It should, if you have that, that's going to be done at your thumb. It should be giving the brain signals. If you're getting something different, please, call the call center, comfortable money and look into it.
And that's $36 per month. If our other senior tasks.
Exactly. And if you don't travel that much, and say 1 month you travel a bit less, then the unused amount will still be there for next month. So you see top up if you don't hit the $36.
Right.
Yeah.
It will follow out some spit our cards after question. We have them in the upright. I'll try and get through the other thing for being such page naughty. You had a lot of district and interesting questions. All of the map. So we have 11,000 walkers roads in Edmonton, and this one might be for Andrew. How many kilometers of bus routes do we have?
Yep.
We have 11,000 public roads. How many kilometers of bus routes?
Look, just that.
Never. Yeah.
We have the total kilometers that you delivered here. I know we have that.
Okay, Walter. Oh. While we're doing now, any idea when the new station of Exhibition Lands will get built? This was just announced in the file.
Oh, I found it. Look. Oh, this bus and LRT. 55 million bus. That's not like kilometers of the routes. That's like how much the bus, they go back and forth on a route.
Yeah. Oh, that to be continued. Any idea when the new station of Exhibition Lands may get? A bit about. No, that's not quite big. Yeah, it's I think depending on funding, depending on the city and the development, it's to the life following Exhibition Lands. If you don't know what Exhibition Lands are, this area is over by the old Coliseum, the old arena, do all the North 112 now, which is they're going to be put in a neighborhood there, north above, or just around the north front area there too. So they're during trucks by a neighborhood called Exhibition Lakes. Will Edmonton Transit consider leaving Twitter? I will take this one. City of Edmonton has a non-necessary already announced, and there are a number of conversations ongoing about which ones are useful or not. How do we plan to make the transit more efficient so that people don't have to spend 4 hours on the brown trip, one into the city, the other, and back? Maybe this is the crosstown report cards. Well, not at all.
Not as There's layers. I'd also say like more fast development by LRT to move more people in LRT pairs more efficiently with fixed infrastructure already in place. So please encourage more land use urban LRT. That is the most efficient option we have. So you need to be more careful and hopefully it's a supportive rim around our land use position. We can move people more efficiently by bringing more people to transit that already exists instead of trying to be all things to all people and inherit constrained out of it. The fixed number of the source and it becomes more likely to ultimately encourage growth outside the development and redevelopment.
Yeah, and then on just the transit side alone, like that we need that land use. And as we design on the network, what is the right layers of serving right structure? I think we've really did the best network redesign foundation in a big way for what's like the different layers of service and how that works. But then there's this case around keeping that on time, right? And making sure like what your journey is reliable and you're not big in traffic. And that's where this conversation like Councillor Janz mentioned around transit priority measures comes in, where things like bus lanes or queue jobs of your buses. We are thankful that in this budget, it's 4-year budget, there's $7 million invested in building some transit priority measures and hoping there'll be more of that in the future that we can keep that going and keep building. Improvements like that. I would implore you to read that called Human Transit. It talks exactly about that, about how do you make sure your transit system is efficient, fast as possible, and it's not a number of recommendations in there too that last year we are undertaking. Harassment is a concern and dangerous issue. Women and gender diverse people account for on transit. And I would say it in public in general. What is the done to ensure a safe, comfortable transit experience for women and gender diverse people?
Yeah, thanks for that question. This has been something the city's been working on since about 2017 through a partnership with UN within a Safe City global initiative. We've done gendered safety audits. We've done community collaboration committee came up with a list of recommendations for how to improve, and I feel that and all of that was, I'm not going to say pause, but it was slowed down. And then with the increased safety and security related concerns coming out of the pandemic for much broader kind of issues that were happening, now it's all rolled into one kind of overall transit safety plan. It includes things like ensuring we have all of our safety measures in place, whether that's infrastructure measures, like our transit watch program, surveillance cameras, doing kind of visible improvements at stations. I mentioned earlier the stadium station, improved sight lines. We've removed kind of dark corners and done physical things to improve safety. It used to be in our top 5 list of incidents at our station. We've done modified. It's been a dramatic change to see what we've been able to experience at Stadium. We've got partnerships with transit peace officers, Edmonton Police Service, community outreach transit teams with growing ridership. We've got more natural surveillance, eyes on the system, more reporting, people are reporting incidents, which lets us get the right resource deployed in the right time. And we did a bystander awareness campaign, which was put to generate finance, and really a call to action around if you see it, say something and do something to support people. It's not an easy solution, obviously, or else lots of cities would have already solved it completely. And we all play a part in it. I would just say more to come. It's an ongoing journey that we're on. And definitely take that perspective of need to make it even safer.
There are a couple other specific safety questions, and I believe council gets a quarterly report that's, again, a public saying, how are we doing on safety? What's coming out with safety? Do you know when that text is, or do you know how they're like as the specific safety concerns? How are they best or to engage them?
I mean, I think to be the general, if you have any solutions that you would like to see implemented, reach out to us directly, reach out to me, or reach out to your counselor. Typically, you can take all of those ideas. It's ongoing work. We have an internal transit security oversight committee of myself and my colleagues. So looking at courtroom security, our peace officer group, Edmonton Police, and our partnership with that Terrell for our outreach teams. We meet every 3 weeks. I can table all of these ideas for that group. We have a council report Tuesday and a separate forwarder report with some discussions about improving safety. We have another discussion with the council on week 18. And those quarterly memos get released. That's more data updates, data-driven updates. So I would say just more engagement, conversation. It's always going to be ongoing work. And just so with the vendor, it was ongoing work before the pandemic. Yes, it has changed. It has shape-shifted a bit. What's been happening post-pandemic, but this is something that all transit on because safety is the four color of ridership.
We get some, if we're cruising through, it's 2:45. You can, for your patients, I'll try and get through to last year, and maybe we'll take a stretch break at 3, get water, wash, and at the back. And part 2 of this is the so what now? What? Okay, so what? Here's the plan, and here's what's going on. And then now, like, how do we continue advocating for transit? That's where I want to invite the into transit riders to share what they're up to, and etc. And then from there, we get dispersed for the afternoon, and either keep visiting and chatting, and more important for everything. But I do want to be respectful of their time for so for being with us. Question about the location of transit facilities, recreation. Why if the Lewis Farm Rec Center, it's not the transit station. There's Tamarack. There's others where it seems like our some of our most desirable places are not transit hubs. So how do we make sure that's stuff that future class?
Yeah, such a great question. I think a lot of these decisions are made early in planning stages, and the location of some facilities are not even really just not coming specifically from ETS. Like they're all contributed the plans to be developed, and I think the city's taken some learnings from some of those areas and trying to figure out how to do this better in other areas going forward. So one example that comes to mind is further south from Windermere. Like there is a future district park and recreation center area, and the transit center will be co-located with that. Sort of similar to the way that Leisure Transit Center is co-located with its high school and the Oliver Easter Juice Center. But yeah, more of that. I think it's this really early planning stage of kind of like after the city plan, where you get to zoning and division and those area structure plans where we need like my opportunities. Andrew's team, we connect in with the development, and that'll be helpful.
For the Valley Light Pass and the Breakfast Center, like share the frustrations. And it's that in the conversation, Nelson is correct. It was a timing gap. So decisions about design and location for Valley Line West preceded discussions and confirmation of funding for the recreation facility. And my understanding was lands was identified. There is a bit of a gap between the two, but we can look at other transit solutions to find the gap. But just conversations we'll have moment-based applications.
I don't know on a study day before my time, so you should add your nap. Part is yeah. Yeah. She will look in. Appreciate it. They will get it. So just like a couple of really good technical questions that like for example, addressing the elevators at Church Station to be high phone lower floor. Everybody had that question earlier about making on internet more accessible. There's a couple other questions here about like very specific pain points in our system. And again, like, is the best way just honestly take a photo of Cutter's right counselor that
311 is the best way. And I'll tell you, it goes directly to the teams that are doing work because it no disrespect to you or to Steve. But when it comes to your counselor's office, it first needs to go through your step to us. We have a coordinator that gets director to look at it, then needs to engage teams to respond to it. It's less efficient, much more direct through 311. Those agents know who to connect with. It goes directly over. Let's say Andrew's team, it's a service concern. Andrew's team does the analysis, prepares the response, and the loop gets closed. Same as with let's say concerns about bus stops. Let's say it suddenly does this issue, like that's the most direct.
And then if you want an app, and it's not the most beautiful app, but if you don't want to call an agent, you can submit and that app goes.
Yeah, I would keep the list while like you didn't we in our office to get requests, and then there's already been a treatment to get started. Somebody has a picture, somebody has a specific this, it's broken. It's make it way easier to march your compromise.
I think starting today, it's 311 no longer looks on Sundays.
That's right. The phone portion of 311, due to budget constraints, is not providing Sunday. So on Sunday, it would have to be submitted to that application or website or add to us.
Yeah. So maybe the last question, and this is kind of a nice one. What are you most proud of accomplishing in your roles within the transit department?
Well, I got into this role in December of 2020. You all remember what 2020 was about? It was terrible, but and I moved into this. I got thinking these are all opportunities. We can only go out prepared. These are opportunities to work with community, which is why I'm excited to see all of you again. But work with community to make a difference. And I think it's an easy answer to say, look at the ridership figures, but it's tremendous. Like we were at 30% ridership, 30% of carbon levels. And now we're like not only fully recovered, but we're seeing year-over-year growth from then 23% higher. And we're at peaks 12%. And but it's really about working with all of you and just seeing that growth and working with the team. Like I have the best team in transit in the country, hands down. I tell them all the time, and I'm just so thankful for however long everybody stays with us. Really appreciate all the work they do.
Lovely. Can't they, sir?
I'm a different person.
Yeah, sir.
But kind of about the same time, we have like Chamathon with managing transit pre-pandemic. But during all of that, we were getting ready to launch the bus network and launch on-demand service. And we launched the biggest on-demand service in Canada, almost the biggest in North America, like LA is bigger. Just like we did that all working remotely with Andrew's team. That's a big, central core of that, but it was really above all VTS. And it's just a really incredible coming together. And of course, the bus network pre-central controversial. People weren't really sure if I could figure us. Some of us more nervous in the lights before we launched, but just that it actually all big.
Everybody was proud of.
I think overall, just the opportunity to learn from you, the riders, your family, or your friends for part of the bus network redesign. We had our city's biggest public consultation project undertaking ever. So when we originally looked at different network designs, we had to balance coverage, frequency, service levels. So really appreciate all the feedback. Sometimes we heard different things from different people. So overall, that was very successful. Ridership is up. Our new frequent and cross-town routes are now the new backbone of the network. So with leadership from City Council, Carrie's there, and everybody else contributed, we're really appreciated for that opportunity.
And John, you've been with Edmonton Transit for 45 years, that correct? So yeah, shout out to John. So how about you? What are you most proud of your years?
The systems have changed. We've gone through, since I started, two major changes. The first one was 2000, which happened in 1997. And there was no internet. So we tried to tell our wrapping up everything. And so a couple days before that was implemented, the journal front section opened out to the new transit network. We started in the end of June to make sure that we let people confused. It's been about 30% of the public still didn't understand They both not this to or they had cast everything. And then the last on which hand we said he was never redesigned. We had our open houses before the pandemic. The pandemic delayed things quite a bit. But the one thing out of there's one route not really changed since before Horizon 2000 to after the BNR, and that's Route 5. It's still the Route 5, the number is still the 5. And it hasn't changed much except at the ends for a bit. And the 5 was originally at 5. The 5 was originally at street cars. Then became a trolley. And then when Frank disappeared, became a like
We have such a rich history of transit at the city, and we're going to keep building at it, And thank you to our staff again, just for putting in on Sunday, but for all they do throughout the years. So, maybe I realize maybe you don't want to break this up. We might lose everybody, but maybe what we do. Thanks, Sarah and Carrie, again for presenting it. Maybe what might be smoothest here, if the Edmonton Transit practice want to come up with, Daniel, if you want to or share a little, I'm not sure who the group wants to share, but so in Edmonton, you if you're interested in a certain topic, like you're interested in, say, the River Valley, there's various River Valley groups. You're interested in sports or minor soccer, you can blink there is minor soccer groups. But for a long time, there's no concerted transit riders group or transit users advocacy, like an advocacy position that they go out and meet with the minister, meet with the prime minister to fight for investment in their services. So over the last couple of years, a called the Edmonton Transit Riders has formed. That's a community organization that's grassroots. That's not it's not specific to one interest group or etc. Like, say for example, the transit union is always worried about the transit workers, but this group is designed to be more, I think, all encompassing in general. So I wanted to invite Daniel and the crew to just kind of share what they're doing, what they're advocating for, their pushes. Like, of course, we have periods. And at age louder more enthusiastically, San and Shop speak. Usually seeing show nuts. Okay.
I'm Daniel.
I don't know my name. Really, but change.
Yeah, I'm Daniel Witt, the chair of Transit Riders. I'm here with most of the I think just below bats all there at these tables. So they're right there. Give a lot of talk to them. And I'm very grateful that I actually have the opportunity to come to you guys today and talk to you about what is, I guess, not a lot for the others, but one of the most exciting days of tram in Edmonton. I want to thank Councillor Janz for hosting this event and inviting us to speak here. We always share the opportunity to speak, as well as Carrie, Sarah, and all of our other guests here giving us information and being excited about our transit community. And also a big thank you to everyone who show up. Studying again, Sunday afternoons, let's stay tuned. We could talk about a city members document for how to bid. It's always very exciting to know that we're not the only ones who are going to be reading the search bank in depth for a few hours. So that's always very great to hear. If you don't know who we are, we are a group focused on advocacy to make information in the city of Edmonton, as well as the club of the region that are, in every way possible. Public transit is a very complex. It involves capital operating. It is present at every single level of government, from municipal, regional, and provincial, all the way up to the federal government. And I think it's really interesting that at this point, and I'm sure you see every single one of these levels of government has a very concrete and significant interest in how networks run, how they're operated. Even if at points that they deal with decided, they're still there. The interest is there to make sure that our trains run well, our buses run well. What's happening? These big pieces of infrastructure probably get people very excited. So what we are really trying to do is, in addition to having all of these decision makers and levels of government very invested in public transportation, we're trying to bring back to everyone here. So the people who are actually brought in the system, the people who live near it, the people who anyone really wants to say or is interested in how these systems run and what they do and how we can make them as good as they can be. We've got everyone at the level of government interested. How do we bring that to everybody who actually uses the system? So we're doing that in a few ways that I'm very excited to share with you. We are really trying to get information from everybody who rides transit. So one main way we're doing that is we actually have a new form open on our website where you can share your story of anything happening to transit. It always breaks about ETS, it's only breakable anywhere, but we think we made a tool that could be really interesting. And hey, something happened on my bus or happened in Edmonton Transit. If any of those, even if you don't see it, please feel free to share it there. We're very excited to take that information and add it into our methods of advocacy or our approach to advocacy to any level of government that we talk to. We're actually going to be going to transit centers. So this upcoming week, we're going to be at West Upton Ball. We're going to be talking to riders. We're going to be having our little table set up, talking to people about what their experiences are, trying to animate that space a little bit. I know it gets taught a little bit about wanting to do that more, but we're very excited to try and contribute to that. And also have more events like this. So they talk about the technical stuff and the funding and operations, all that stuff about transit. But what I'm very excited for, and Blakey will vote on that too. What I'm very excited for is to actually find ways to build that community around transit. So we're having, so that we can have them organize and coherent push from the community in terms of getting better public transportation, in terms of filling up our service outage gaps. So make sure that we're running even if amount of service required, so that our buses aren't stuck in traffic through things like transit priority measures and BRT planning and mass transit. So we are really trying to find ways to get the community involved in public transportation. And I guess the last thing I'll really share is that anyone ever wants to have a conversation about opportunities for advocacy and getting involved in advocacy, and even just ideas you have, myself and our reporter are always happy to meet up, grab some coffee and talk, and sort of work together with everyone in how to build public transportation system that works for everyone in our Bowl region. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming again, and thank you for listening to me. If you are interested, you can sign up for our newsletter on our website, edmontontranscribers.org. You follow us on most social medias. We're on a lot of them. And again, our email is info@edmontontranscribers.org. If you ever want to talk, we are more than happy to chat, and we'll be here longer if anyone wants to pop now. Okay.
Do you want to share you were part of that national coalition of transit groups?
Oh yeah. So we are an advocacy group here in Edmonton, but we're really part of what I've seen as a massive wave of public transportation advocacy that is happening across the country. So TTC Riders has been a group that's been in operation forever, but we're seeing things like movement in Vancouver, CTR, Calgary Transit Riders now in Calgary. So many municipalities and so many cities and transit systems across our country are having community members organizing to improve their local public transit systems, and we've been involved in a lot of ways, having conversations. If last year you came to that event in Blatchburn Stadium Stations, where we rode the LRT up to that unopened station, that was in collaboration with Keep Transit Moving, which is at 84 improvements the current public transit product. And that type of collaboration between the organization on a regional level is something that we're also very interested in. We were collaborating with Calgary Transit Riders up until the end of last week on budget capacity for that Bowl Transit Pass. We're very, very excited to see that has been hopefully kept in the same exact state once we get a bit more information in it. But public transit advocacy have been increasing and really been a lot louder over the entire country. And we're very excited to see that. Very excited part of it. It's just a very excited situation for public transit advocacy in Canada, and I would love to have all of you here along for the ride, helping us out, make a better system.
Thank you to Daniel for the board. Puzzle giveaway because then people know who to say your name, Steven.
Yeah, so vice chair.
I'm a wit. I'm vice breaker as well as student advocacy, so I do a lot of stuff.
I'm Emily. I'm a board member and I'm its tail. I have a whole series of black boats. I don't really like Spinsky.
Well, hi, Nick.
That's Perry.
Sorry, Nick.
There's
Karen? K-A-R-A-N. Kill Karen. Can't possibly.
Well, not such well, but I mean, you come and complain.
Yeah.